Welcome to Unleashed with Epic. I'm your host, Vincent Shields, and I'm here today with Erin. Erin works for us at the Epic Dog Academy. Hi, Erin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Vince?
I'm doing great. So, Erin, you've been working with us for how long now?
Oh, geez. Almost 5 years, I think, coming up. A minute.
5 years. A long time.
A minute.
From our infancy.
Yep.
So, why dogs? Why? What got you into dogs? Tell me the history of Erin.
I don't know. I always grew up with animals, grew up on a dairy farm. We always had a lot of livestock, horses, various dogs. I just really felt comfortable with them. I liked them. I bonded with them early on. My mom, she was into doing a little training. That was kind of the first, I guess, taste of dog training I got. And we'd go to the park. She'd be in group class. And when all the kids were playing, I was there looking through the fence, watching. And it just always kind of interested me.
Okay. And you told me yesterday that I didn't know about it. Your grandfather used to run hunting dogs.
Yep. He had spaniels. And, I'd go out there and he did a lot of upland game fowl hunting and stuff. And, I'd watch him work the dogs and everything. And I had an Australian Shepherd and I thought it'd be funny to try to teach my dog how to flush pheasant and do stuff. And they didn't think I could do it, but I got that little dog out there and he'd flush the birds and he'd go find them and he'd bring them back. They were chewed up, but he brought them back. So
he had a hard mouth.
And they all got a kick out of that, all those old men. So it was funny.
When you were doing that with your dog, did your dog outperform some of theirs?
You know what? It was funny because they'd make fun of him because he was a little smaller of a dog. And they'd had, some of these guys had those big labs and they would get stuck in the brush. And my dog would just go poop under it and flush them out. And there they go. And he was on it. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff.
So fast forward some years after that, you were an animal control officer.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
But prior to animal control, I worked as a vet tech for years and various training kennels and stuff. So I always had hands-on with dogs and everything. Animal control is just a different job. You go in and you want to help everybody and you think, you're going to be doing all this work to save dogs and cats and various, whatever animals you have. And it's very taxing. It's very taxing because you get a lot of emotional burnout. And I loved the part of being able to help people and help the animals. It just was very tiring when you see the amount that, just keeps snowballing. And it's, I decided to go the training route instead.
I definitely can understand that emotional burnout especially when your heart is in there to try and help dogs. I think that
absolutely.
There's so many people that get into the animal world, like vets and trainers and groomers and all that type of stuff. And we really get into it because we love the animals.
Passionate about it.
Right? You're passionate about the animals. But then you do get that emotional, that burnout, right? Yep. It's like whether
Reality
it's from a
hits.
client or whether it's from, like your instance, I'm sure probably the ugly side of animal control is having to euthanize animals and things like that, right? And so I can definitely see
it's overwhelming because 9 times out of 10 there's nothing wrong with the animal. It's just lack of human care, lack of proper containment of the animals, allowing animals to roam, to breed and do all this stuff. And it always falls back on the animal, and it's always the animal that pays the price at the end. And it's disheartening, but, you just kind of have to do what you can to help who you can and, just hope for the best for the other stuff.
So when you became a dog trainer for us, and you do a great job, by the way.
Well, thank you.
What do you think the hardest part of it is?
Oh, definitely the clients. I love the clients. I love helping people. But it is a little bit of a disconnect trying to explain why and how we do things and the benefit of it. If they've spent maybe 20 years owning pets and they've never had a dog that had these behaviors and you're like, okay, I'm about ready to turn everything upside down on its head. And they have to kind of grasp that, and you never blame the owner because we all do what's best for our animals, They're not doing it on purpose, but sometimes we don't want to reflect on what maybe we've done wrong in the past. And that's kind of a struggle sometimes to, show people there's a better way to do it, a better outcome for the dog. And, it can get tricky sometimes feeling people out.
What would you say the biggest mistake that dog owners make with their dogs today?
Oh, absolutely. I would say number one is picking the breed based on what you think you want instead of what the dog was actually bred to do.
Yeah. I
And
definitely didn't think you were going to say that,
yeah,
but that
yeah.
is,
I mean, I'm starting the base level right there.
yeah,
That's
that's,
definitely,
I mean, there should almost be a class on like pup dog ownership and like
yeah,
selecting a
yep,
dog. Like,
almost like a matchmaking service.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because, you know, some people get there like, oh, you know what? I've been into many
Yep.
houses and you've trained many of the dogs
Mm-hmm.
that we've gone in there and it's, you know, 90-year-old grandma and she has a Dogo Argentino. It's
I
like,
mean, and sometimes it's not the client's fault. Case in point, little rowdy rascal I have right now.
yeah,
His owners, they're elderly. They found a puppy. They did everything for that puppy.
yeah.
They spent money. They bought the treadmill. They come to group class. They
Did training.
I mean, that woman, she's sharp. She's on it. But unfortunately, they had him DNA'd. They thought he was maybe a little shepherd mix or something. Came back 100% Kelpie. That's a hard dog from Australia. A dog's bred to chase rink cattle out of the brush and get kicked in the head, pop back up and do it again. So this is a dog that's working 12 hours a day, and he's ready to go. And even though they invested all that time and money and they knew they couldn't provide what he needed and that
Yeah.
he was getting anxious and he just really wasn't a good fit. They came to us and they asked us for help, and I offered to, take him for a while until, we could kind of figure something out. Obviously he's never going anywhere if they can't take him back, but
Yeah.
so
'Cause
sometimes it's not the client's fault. They just
one thing you can't change is genetics.
no, absolutely not.
Right. And
That's your
so it's
foundation.
like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how much, well, I shouldn't say how much training you put on the dog,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, it's that relationship that you build with
Absolutely.
the dog and the genetics.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, I mean, there's plenty of dogs that we've trained, like even
Mhm.
Olaf, right?
Yeah,
When
yeah,
Olaf
yeah.
was alive, Olaf loves to bite, loves to do everything like that. I can
Yeah.
tell him to sit, he doesn't move,
Yeah.
right? But we pull a bite sleeve out, and he's like,
Yeah.
you know what? That genetics kicks in,
Right.
So
I try to explain it to him as like a foundation for a home. If you just find the cheapest cowboy contractor and he's just throwing some old slabs down, but then you go find the top architect and you buy premium everything and the house is put together so perfectly, that foundation is going to crumble and then you have nothing. But if you have a solid foundation, you could build anything on that foundation. And sometimes dogs, they might not be wired a way that would be, conducive to a home with that type of a person. So we have to kind of, play a little bit of that, trying to get them to understand that you have a beagle. His genetic drives put his nose to the ground to go. He's not going to do these snappy, militant, crazy obedience things that this Malinois that you watch the YouTuber, work for years is going to do.
yeah.
And most of the time people are receptive to understanding and learning and stuff, but sometimes you get that little gray area where it's kind of tricky.
Yeah. I think the hardest part, like for me, like when I'm going in and I'm like doing consultations with people, is sometimes they have a dog and I know that the dog may be not the best fit for that family and things like that, but they're wanting to try and things like that and to make this dog work for their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I tell them, I say, hey, look, as long as you're willing to put in the work that it takes, you can make it work.
Yeah.
Right. But,
absolutely.
You got a high drive, hunting line lab, or you got a hunting line German short hair pointer. Right. Those dogs are used to working
long days
all day.
Yep.
And, the other thing I tell them is that the dogs, they're athletes.
Oh, for
they're
sure.
going to outperform us,
For sure.
7 days of the week.
For sure.
Right. So you got to be able to not only physically exercise that dog, but you got to be able to mentally exercise that dog as well.
Absolutely. And like I try to explain to some of these high energy dogs like the Malinois and stuff, you could put that dog on a treadmill and run him 10 miles. He's going to take a 20-minute nap and he's going to pop up and he's going to be ready to go again. Yeah. You have to throw in that, part of it of making them use their brain, making them think, making them tired mentally, making them, focus. And, it's like in school, we'd go to school and we were exhausted at the end of the day, but literally all we were doing was sitting there, but we were using our brains and that made us tired. So if you're not using all the components, it's not as beneficial, So there's a balance and, you just got to try to find that.
Yeah. So The hardest part being the owners.
I don't want to say it that way, but
that is the hardest part.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it is,
yeah.
right? It's because once you give the dog structure,
Yeah.
right, and the dog has clarity of what the expectation is, and he understands the verbal and the physical of what we want,
absolutely.
then the dog does what we want.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we got to build that relationship with the dog. But the owners, like sometimes it's like, you know, we speak the same language, but we have the ability for like intellectual thought.
Yes.
And so like we formulate our own opinions and we
have biases.
And we do things. I am doing this. Like I had a client one time that was like, Vince, my dog keeps going to the bathroom upstairs. So I go over there and I'm talking to her and I'm like, well, are you watching the dog?
Right, right.
And she was like, yes. I said, okay. And we went through this like for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She kept telling me the dog's going upstairs, going to the bathroom. And my only question was, are you watching the dog? Yeah. And it finally came down to the point where I said, okay, so you're watching the dog go to the bathroom?
Right.
She was like, no. Like the dog goes upstairs and goes to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, well, are you watching the dog go upstairs? She goes, no. I said, so are you watching the dog? And she was like, I guess I'm not watching the dog.
Right.
Especially when those dogs come home from training, right? Like what would you say is some of the like the foundation, the groundwork that people should be doing with their dogs when they come home straight from a board and train?
It's really going to be, reintroducing the positive things your dog did. Using the dog door, using the spot in the yard that you wanted to potty, the same schedule, ease them back into your daily living schedule, and trying to really manage the dog so you're not slipping back into the bad behaviors. Like you were using the example of the dog using the bathroom. Well, my question would be, can you leash the dog and keep the dog next to you while you're, doing things throughout the day? Can you put the dog in the crate? Can you maybe have the dog spend some outside time if you can't watch them? I mean, it's like, turning a toddler loose with a handful of Sharpies in a freshly painted room. Something's going to happen.
It's going to be freshly Sharpied.
Yes. So it's like, you kind of have to use a little bit of common sense and, you get a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard it. Well, my old dog never did this. Yes. My old dogs, I've had dogs my whole life. They've never done this. But, we're speaking about the dog in front of you right now. Not, old Bojack from 20 years ago that could do calculus, Yeah. So it's, kind of hard.
One thing I always that I notice when I hear that, my old dog, my last dog, and this, one question I asked him was, well, how long ago did you have that dog?
Right.
It's always 10, 15 years ago.
Rose-colored glasses, too.
And so I'm like, all right, well, 10, 15 years ago, what was your life like?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Right.
I mean, if you're 40 or 50 and you were 30 when you had the last dog.
You're probably more active.
More active. Did you have kids? Right. Were you going out to the beach? Like, what was the lifestyle like? Right now, you may just be working and coming home and walking the dog in the neighborhood, right? So it's completely different.
Absolutely.
One thing that that I like about this industry and this world that we're in is, and you kind of just were talking about it a little bit, is we're dealing with the dog that's right here, right now, right in front of us.
Absolutely.
Right. So is there, kind of go back a little bit, is there a dog that you've had in your life that is like, this is your dog, like your spirit animal?
Oh, my baby B, the one I got now, that's my buddy. Like, I've never had a dog quite like him. I mean, he's just a one in a million. And I've had some amazing dogs, old Scooby, I had an Australian Shepherd that was like, I could train that dog to do anything. But yeah, I think Baby Braun's my little heart dog, my little angel.
Little angel. She says that, but he's he only likes her and her family.
Well, that goes back to genetics, Yeah. I mean, if I tried to take this dog that, everything in his DNA is saying stranger danger, this is my property, these are my people, and I tried to have a block party, and I tried to invite everybody over to come through my yard, there's going to be some bit up people. And then I put my dog in this horrible situation. Now he's got a bite record and now all this. So it goes back to genetics and within the same breed. I mean, I have Sky, my show line. She can go anywhere and do anything. Loves everybody. Braun is working old Dutch lines. He's, nope, don't know you, get out of here. And so you really got to kind of know what you got and kind of work with that too.
One thing that I've noticed that has kind of been a consistent topic, not topic or theme but is consistently being mentioned in all these episodes is pretty much you have to advocate for your dog.
Absolutely.
Right? So like you have baby B, right? Good old Braun. So that, or you have him, so you're not going to throw a block party.
Absolutely.
To put him in a situation that could be dangerous.
Absolutely. And I mean, you even know, we go into he's very well behaved on leash. He's very well. Like, I know he's not going to go after somebody if he's sitting here in a command, but I do not know what's coming around that corner.
Yeah.
We have children in the facility sometimes, clients, other dogs. I'm not going to ever put my dog in a position where he's going to hurt somebody. One, I would never want my dog to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Two, I'm not going to put my dog in that position for him to have to be quarantined and get the bite history. So you do have to advocate for your dogs. We take these animals in. They're our responsibility. We have to step up and do for them. Like, they need proper care like that and proper advocacy, because if we put them in positions where they bite somebody or hurt somebody or get out and attack another dog, that's not really on the dog. Yeah. The dog's doing what a dog does. That's on us. We failed somewhere, and we need to take a step back and go, okay, what happened there? Why didn't we have the dog properly contained? Why did we not muzzle train our dog, and to take him to the vet? Why didn't we do these various things? But by then it's a little too late. Yeah. Somebody's hurt. Somebody, another animal's hurt. Your dog's in trouble. So we do have to kind of think about our actions and what dog we have, and, think this out before we put them in a situation that could be dangerous.
What would you say are some of the things that somebody can do to advocate for their dog?
Muzzle training. If you have a dog and even dogs that are sweet and happy and love everybody, I always push muzzle training in a positive way, because even a dog that's hurt can lash out.
Yeah.
And if we could teach our dogs that it's okay to wear that muzzle, we can do fun things with the muzzle on. It's not a punishment. Then if we do have to muzzle him for any reason, it's not an added stress to our dog. So that way, if we have to take our dog to the vet and we think, well, he might be a little nippy, put the muzzle on him. We just took that off the table, anybody getting hurt.
It's all about association too, right?
Absolutely.
So, it's how does my dog associate the muzzle, right? What's the association to the muzzle?
Yep.
Right?
So take them when you're playing, take them out on good walks, put treats in it and teach them to, put their own face in it instead of having to, hold them down. Never just only for negative things. Same thing with car rides. We get a lot of clients and, my dog hates a car. My dog hates a car. He's so anxious. He uses the bathroom. He screams and whines. And the first thing I ask him is, when your dog gets in the car, where do you go? Well, only to the vet.
To the vet.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, no wonder he hates a car. I
took him back to the pound once.
Right. And so it's like, if we got in the car every time and we went to the dentist, we would not want to be getting in that car.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of teach the dog the association that we could do fun things in the car too. It's not just negative. Same thing with the muzzle. We could do fun things in the muzzle. It's not just negative. So same with training tools and stuff.
100%.
Leashes.
It comes down to association.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it doesn't matter what tool we're utilizing.
Absolutely.
It's all about how the dog understands the context of that tool, right? Every training tool is a different language, right? And so when you're introducing that tool to the dog, how are we doing it, right? So there's a lot of, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but there's a lot of controversy on e-collars and, oh my God, you're going to shock the dog and do all this. And I mean, are there people out there that utilize e-collars incorrectly? 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
But when you teach the dog the language of the collar the right way,
you get the proper technology and collar, because I mean, let's be honest, the e-collar's not created equal.
Well, so the one on Amazon's not good?
Oh, no, those are punchy. I do not like those. And they'll say, oh, low stimulation, and you'll touch it and it's like sticking your finger in a thing. The newer, higher quality ones, the 10s unit thing, we're holding them and, using them and stuff, and we can't even feel it. It's not painful. It's just a weird, buzzy, crawly feeling. But yeah, again, if you teach the dog to be afraid of something and you only use it as punishment and not as just attention-based, a tap on the shoulder, hey, look at me, we're doing something fun, then it becomes negative, and then it's a whole different tool.
Yeah.
So
I always tell people when I'm in their house, they're like, oh, how do you utilize the e-collar? And I'm like, well, we actually teach it as a positive first, right? So, we want the dog to understand, hey, every time I feel this stimulation, which most dogs feel the stimulation way lower than humans do, right? So like on the mini educator, I don't feel it till like 14, 16, right? And sometimes depends on how my day has been or what's happening, right? Like if I have the the collar in my hand and my 8-year-old daughter is about to run out in the middle of the street, right? Like,
You're not gonna,
I'm not going to feel that
exactly.
until we're at a lot higher level,
So
right?
you need a higher working level for you at that
So
point.
you just need to, you have to find a proper working level for the situation that you're
in.
Right. So, and that goes for every training tool, right? Like prong collar, Herm Springer, right? It's not meant to rip your dog's head off.
No,
right?
no.
It's an attention tool to be like, hey, you pay attention, do what it is that I'm asking.
With the least amount of pressure, because we don't have to, you don't pop like a flat collar. Like we've seen everybody sitting there letting their dog rip their arm out of the socket. Dog's choking itself out and it's petechia and it's just not good. But then the prong collar, when used properly, just a little tiny pressure and the dog will back up.
Yeah.
It's all about educating people on the tools and how to use them, and
it comes
education.
Like when you utilize those tools, it's like a pressure and release.
Absolutely. That's a big thing with
and
horses.
A lot of times too, horses. All right. So Erin, you've trained a lot of dogs with us.
I have.
Is there one dog that stands out to you that like you're the most proud of? Whether it's they came the farthest, whether it was your first dog you trained with us, or the owners was the most difficult you had to work with, and then you've seen them come around the corner.
Honestly, there's a few of them that, I've really been very proud to help the dog the way we've helped them. Case in point, like little Oro. He came in terrified. He was, lashing out. He, little street dog from Tijuana. He just very fearful. Everything scared him.
Cabo, but it's okay.
Okay. Very scared of everything. And it was so rewarding to see a dog that was so afraid that he wouldn't even move from a curled up little position to bounding out of his kennel, to doing the obstacles, to playing, to really, engaging with you. And then to see his owners come see him and how excited they were and how happy they were that he, was actually able to live life and wasn't just so shut down and afraid all the time. There's been a few little dogs like that, and those are the ones I really enjoy helping, and it's really nice to help the owners too, because it's like, they worry so much about their dogs, and we do. We always, worry about our pets and stuff. And to see them actually realize that this is a new life for your dog, it's, you guys could go out and live life and enjoy each other. And we don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I can't take him somewhere because he just loses it. But now he's out engaging with everybody and his tail's wagging and he's relaxed. I mean, I can't really, pinpoint one necessarily, because, I've always
trained so many of them.
It's not just that, because they're all special to me. Like, I swear, I'll see one, in the store somewhere, and I'll recognize the dog. I might not recognize the owner, but I'll know. I'll be like, "Hey, buddy," So I can't really just pinpoint just one. I really enjoy helping the ones though that are very fear reactive, that are very reserved and just nervous, anxious little guys, and really helping them understand that they can live life. And. Just
it's like watching that transformation sometimes, like, is just when the light bulb clicks, right? That is when, I mean, I've trained a lot of dogs,
right?
And when you see that light bulb click,
right?
And then when you see the light bulb click with the owner,
right?
Because not only is it just us training the dog,
we were training the owners.
Then you got to work with the owner, right?
Yeah.
And, it's when you see the light bulb click,
right?
And they're like, oh, I get it.
Right.
Right.
Or you get the updates, with the pictures, like Archer. I really enjoyed working with Archer. He won the stray dog lotto, though. I'll tell you that dog did. They're very invested in helping him and letting him live his best life. And he was pretty fearful when he came in. He was very unsure of himself. He had no confidence. And I worked very closely with the owner, what was important to her, what issues he was having at home. And she was afraid to take him anywhere, even for walks, she'd wait till it was less busy on the streets. Yeah. I'm getting pictures of that boy out there at the, they're going to restaurants and festivals. And
yeah, I see. They live in my neighborhood.
Yeah. So and she sends me pictures all the time, and he's just out there living life. And, it really does make you happy that you were able to transform a relationship that was very emotional and very, not knowing where it was going to go, and everybody kind of frustrated, and to actually being part of the family. The dogs are now living with the family. They're going out places and everybody's enjoying life. And that's, kind of my favorite part of the training too, is getting the updates and seeing all the cool stuff the dog gets to do now instead of just living in the backyard.
When I do the consultations with people,
Mm-hmm.
I always tell them too, I'm like, hey, look, we're not just like, it's not here. You send us a dog, we take your money, right? We train the dog, good luck, right? Like we want Christmas photos. We want those updates, right? That's what, kind of feeds our, from that, you get to that emotional burnout, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it feeds us to be like, oh yes, I can keep going, right? These are the reasons why I keep going.
Absolutely. Because you see something, you actually see it in front of you, something that benefited, your fellow humans and the animals. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see why I do this now.
Yeah. Because sometimes, it doesn't seem like it would be a taxing job, right? Everybody's like, oh, I'll be a dog trainer. I don't care. I go everywhere and they're like, oh, you have the coolest job ever.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a dog trainer.
I mean, I agree. We do have the coolest job ever.
Of course we do. But it's taxing.
It absolutely is.
It's taxing.
Absolutely.
Right?
A lot of burnout sometimes.
I know a lot of trainers that aren't trainers anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they get burnt out.
Absolutely.
Right. It's just...
I think you got to take the little wins, when you're able to help that one dog and you're just like, oh, I helped that one family. And it makes you feel like you're contributing, it's not just I'm making a paycheck. You're changing people's lives and you're bettering the life of an animal and stuff. So it's, definitely a career you have to be passionate about.
You have to be passionate.
Not just clocking in and out type of a deal.
You got to pick up a lot of poop too.
Well, I'd rather pick up poop than, answer phones or have to ring up somebody at the Walmart. So I don't know.
So you've been with us before, like when we didn't have the communication tools and stuff like that we have now, that we're able to communicate with the clients. So we have an app, right? The Epic Dog Academy app. And how do you think that's changed the game for us?
Oh, big time, because it's all in one space, As for the training side, we could get in there and upload all of our pictures, write our notes, because that is one of the most important things when training a dog to me is I want to know what is important for the owner, what the owner is struggling with, what are some goals they would like to have for the dog, And so it's just a quick way to communicate. We could be very detailed, and phone conversations are great. But, we get busy and we, have a lot of dogs and different people we're dealing with. But if you have it in text form, you can look back and be like, oh, okay, this is what. Yeah. So it really has benefited, I think, everybody, the owners and us, because we could blow their phone up with pics of their dogs now, and videos and whatnot, and really communicate in a detailed real-time situation.
I think that was Olivia always had this idea of creating the app.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but the app was like $50,000.
Oh, right,
to make an app, right? And I'm like, I don't have $50,000 to spend on an app,
right.
So we were able to get an app created, and I was so happy when we're able to communicate with the clients now, all the time. I don't care if I just want to tell them, hey, your dog went to the bathroom today.
Right,
I get to over communicate with them, right?
And that's always better.
Before. I feel like we would under-communicate.
Oh, yeah, because they'd have to call the office, and then the office staff would have to go find one of us, or we'd have to go find the office staff. And, communication's key to it. Even with the dog, you got to communicate. If we're not communicating, there's no point in it.
Yeah, it's I think that communication, and now, I don't know if you've seen or not, but on the app, they're able to send pictures and videos back to you.
Oh, no, I didn't see that yet.
Right?
Okay, so, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. And then now we have we're able to post like all the group classes and things like that.
Right.
What speaking of group classes, have you seen a group class like ours before?
No.
The amount of people things that we do?
No, I have not. We generally all see the little group classes in Petco or something. They're in a corner, and I'm like, how are y'all training these dogs in this little space? Or you'll see them at the park, and there's always, maybe 10 dogs. It's always kind of chaotic usually because you're not able to control outside, things that happen, people with off-leash dogs, children riding their bicycles and stuff. I really like where we're doing it because we're able to control the environment a lot better. Yeah. We're right there by the facility. We could pop in. Hey, you're having a malfunction with something. Oh, well, we got some tools in here. Or we can help you do this. We can schedule you a groom. Your dog needs a nail trim. Come on over. Yeah. So it is really nice having it there. And I have not seen a group class as large as ours, I have to say. Yeah,
like I get excited because I sit there and I watch, and sometimes our group classes are 30 people.
Yeah.
And sometimes our group classes are like 70 people. Right. And so when you're able to see the owners like control the dog in that environment. Like in my head, I'm like, you should be able to control your dog anywhere. I just watched you walk your dog past 70 other dogs,
and that's what I tell them,
and not have any problems. But
I tell the owners that all the time. I'm like, you don't understand the confidence this is going to give you and your dog. Yeah. You were afraid to walk your dog at peak hours in your neighborhood. You're going to be walking your dog through 50 other dogs, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to see it's okay. And then at the end of it, they're just mind blown. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did this. And looking back, you know, he would drag me across the street if there was a dog 2 blocks away. And now they're over there doing the, you know, drills right next to 20, 30, 40, 50 other dogs. And it's crazy.
What would you tell a client, because we see this all the time, what would you tell a client that just got their dog back and they've come to their first group class?
You know, I always try to make the clients feel at ease and supported. I'm like, you know, if you're feeling a little nervous, if you're a little overwhelmed, that's okay. Let's go over here. Let's work on the outside. You know, I try to kind of find the new clients, kind of, you know, kind of keep an eye on them, stick by them, and help them out a little more. But it does seem to, you know, everybody at the group class is very friendly. Everybody, I mean, we're almost like a giant family because everybody knows everybody. They have their little groups. Everybody hangs out and talks and stuff and helps we help each other and everything. And I just tell them, you know, hey, get in there and do it. And if you're not comfortable to be right in the middle, that's okay. We'll work over here. Next group class, you'll probably be right over here. You know, just keep going forward. And, you know, eventually they're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, so every group class, they make progress. I'm kind of tended to be the opposite sometimes where I'm like, hey, you just got here? Come on in, right? Like, because there's no better way than to just do it. Right. I agree with that. I mean, a lot of times we'll come, like even last group class on Saturday, there was people on the outskirts. Right. And I'm like, hey, Alicia, like I see them out there. Like, how do we get them inside? Right. Like I want them, because I feel like if they stay to the outside, they're not going to build their confidence up to get into the inside. That's you know, I know I try to be, you know, thoughtful, and I try to read people, and I can see if people are a little anxious and they're a little unsure. But if they're stuck there, I mean, it's fine to start there. That's why I always tell them, it's fine to start here if that's what you're comfortable with. But you're going to have to move out of that comfort zone if we want to move forward with our dogs. You're just going to have to. And it seems to work pretty well. You know, they're like, okay, they got an eye on things. Everything's controlled. Like, let's try this. And then, you know, by a couple group classes later, they're right in the middle of it. And so, you know, you just kind of got to read people better than dogs sometimes. Because the dog's ready to do it. The dog's like, heck yeah, let's go. It's the owner that's like, I'm going to hold you back a little bit. Yeah. The dogs, they all know it. Oh, yeah. Right? The group classes are not for the dogs. No. They are for the people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the one thing that like when we do like the Times Square drill and stuff like that, right? I love to stop all the people like right in the middle when everybody's next to everybody. And then be like, all right, how many of your dogs came in here for aggression problems? And you see all the hands go up, and then all the little dogs and all the people are like, oh, my Lord, right? Yeah. Right? But at the end of the day, it's all credit to the clients. Yeah. Because without them maintaining it. Absolutely. And without you guys and us as a company, you guys as the trainers going out and reinforcing you have to maintain this. Yes. Right? Like, You have to. Like, it's part of the program. Right. It's without them doing their part, we wouldn't be successful at doing our part.
Yeah, and it just goes, you know, they bring us the dogs, and for 2 weeks we really, you know, work these commands, and we give the dog structure, and we're giving the dog boundaries, and we're teaching the dogs a lot of things. But that's just 2 weeks of that dog's life. That dog's going home, and it makes no sense if we keep the dog and we're like, oh, the dog's perfect, and then we just send it home to an owner who doesn't understand. The dog's going to slide back. So if we get the owners on board with it and excited to do the training and invested in it, the dog's going to succeed. They just will.
What are some tips and tricks that you've had to get the owners excited about training?
Well, first of all, I do try to tell them not to get overwhelmed. I said, I get it. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you right now. Do not feel overwhelmed. This is not an overnight, you know, experience. This is a journey. Be forgiving to yourself. If you mess up, we say the wrong command to my dog, or I accidentally stepped on my dog, or went a little too high on the collar once. Your dog's not laying awake going, oh my gosh, I can't believe Sharon and Kevin, they just went on, they stepped on me and they told me to sit when they went down. Your dog's not laying awake thinking about these things. You know, forgive yourself because your dog already forgave you. Yeah. So just be patient, take a deep breath. You didn't mess anything up. Just keep going. Keep going. Even if we have to take little steps, even if we have to go back 4 steps, keep going. And eventually we'll get where we need to be with our dogs.
Yeah. That's you kind of hit it there on the head when you said it's a journey.
Yeah,
right?
it absolutely is.
It's not a 2-week fix,
Nope.
right? And I tell people that when I'm doing the consults with them, it's like, look, yeah, you're going to send your dog to training and your dog's going to be great, right? But when your dog comes home, he's going to be like, all right,
let me see what I get away with.
I've lived here for 2.5 years.
Yep.
Let me see what I can get away with, right? So I wrote an article on the movie called The Miracle Worker, right? Which is the Helen Keller story.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And it was a correlation between animal behavior and the movie.
Right.
Right? And how when Helen, she was like throwing the keys in the well and stealing the eggs and doing all that type of stuff, right? And I'm not calling Helen a dog, but what I was saying is that there's a correlation there with behavior, right? Yeah. Like your dog is behaving that way.
Right.
Your dog is running through the door. Your dog is doing all these things. And then the family hired Ann Sullivan.
Yep.
Right. And they sent Helen with Ann to the house on the property.
Right.
And Helen went and stayed there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the board and train. Right.
Right.
And Helen was, learning to sign and to do all those types of things. Right. And, Ann Sullivan was really putting in an effort.
Yep.
Right. And putting in that effort and developing communication with Helen. Right. And so we expect the owners to do the same thing. Right.
Absolutely.
You have to put in the effort and you have to be able to communicate with the dog.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, have you ever tried to communicate with somebody and then like it just wasn't received well?
Yes, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, we all have. Right. So I think that happens a lot with our dogs. We try to communicate with them and then it's just not received. Well,
we don't speak the same language.
We don't
have the same needs, same wants.
Yeah. And so it just really comes down to developing that I was going to say communication and effort, but it's really more about developing that relationship.
Absolutely.
With them.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's when kind of going back to the Helen story, right? When Helen comes back to the house, right? Helen is like, oh yeah, I'm back in my familiar environment, right? She's blind, right. But doesn't mean she can't smell,
right?
Right. And she understood where she was at. Your dog does the same thing when it comes home, right? So if you just allow Helen to go back and grab the eggs and throw the keys back in the water or in the well, she's going to continue to act that way, right?
Because that's what she knows.
Exactly, right? And so then it goes to the dog, right? So if we let our dog come home and slip back into old behavior, well,
we're going to go back a couple steps to have to fix it. So it's a lot easier to have that structure and follow the directions and reach out to us. If you're struggling and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't get this. My dog's just, blowing me off. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Reach out to us because we can't help you if we don't know something's going on. But, we have to communicate. We have to help the client understand that we have to hold the dog to the same standards. We have to be consistent. It's like I tell people too, a lot of people have children and stuff. They understand that, or we were all children once ourselves. If we were put in time out and we just kept getting up and our parents were like, oh, I'm just tired. I don't want to deal with this. We would never learn to stay where we were put. We would never learn that this is unacceptable. We need to do this way or that way. So it's kind of the same with your dog. If your dog knows, oh, yeah, they asked me to sit 3 times, but if I just hold out for a little bit longer, they're going to forget about it. Your dog's going to do that.
It's kind of like crate training, right? The dog,
absolutely.
Put the dog in the crate, starts crying. Oh, I learned I can cry and get out.
Yep. Same with
crying
babies.
Forever,
yep.
right?
Same with babies. So.
So you kind of hit on something a second ago, but I forgot what it was, so I'm just going to let it go. I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate you. I appreciate you working for us. You do a lot for us as a company, and you're a great friend. And I really appreciate everything that you do for us.
Oh, no, Vince, I appreciate you guys back. I've always been one.
Don't cut me off at my appreciation of you. But no, you're good. But no, I really do appreciate it. And I think that the clients appreciate you too, right? And your ability to communicate with them is, from day one to now, it's like gotten even better. And I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I love working down there. I've worked various jobs from vet tech to different training kennels, breeding kennels, animal control. This has been, I can say hands down, the one business I have not second guessed or questioned or felt, is this morally or ethically where I'm aligned at. I have never once felt that way. I know you and Olivia, your main priority is always going to be the care of the dogs and the clients. And I've never once felt, conflicted with anything you guys have done. And I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to learn. You've helped me a lot with my dogs and building me up and teaching me things. So I really appreciate you guys too.
All righty.
Thanks.